Hello. First things first, can everybody hear me okay? There's no issues with that? Perfect, thank you very much. Cool, okay, so welcome to my talk today, and as you may have seen, my talk is called Why Are Creatives Annoying? My name is Al, and yes, I am tired of being blamed for anything that artificial intelligence is doing. Please, can we come together as an industry and stop calling it AI like that? But I am a creative, as this picture kind of almost proves that when I was a creative student, I'd like to try and show how creative I was. This sort of thing probably explains why my hairline currently is in its current state. But creatives can be a little bit weird. We kind of contradict ourselves a lot. We like to kind of preach about how different creativity can be, how much difference we can add, the value of it all, and then we'll turn up to meetings all dressed exactly the same. Yeah, good one, guys. That was a really good meeting on that one. But we'll also be, incredibly hung up on being taken seriously, the value that we can add again, making sure that people understand exactly what we are doing, and then we'll get like super excited over the tiniest of little things and regress in front of clients, which is never, ever a good thing. What I'm trying to say is that creators have a rich and proud tradition of being annoying to pretty much anybody who isn't a creative. And what I'm here today to talk to you guys about is why do creators not do what they're told? Who will get creators to do what you want, and how to integrate them into your agency. First things first, let's get into like the biggest question, the one that's in the title of the talk. Why don't creators do what they're told? Well, why do creators turn up to a conference run by the agency that they work for and be the only agency speaker that doesn't use the damn agency template and basically make the organizers do something like that? Well, it's because of the way that our heads work. Often we will get presented with the question, why can't you just do the effing thing? And in response, we'll often say, well, it's complicated. In the run-up to this, I bumped into an old salesman that I used to work with, and I posed him the question, well, what was it that annoyed you? What could really, really antagonize you? And he was full of praise, but he basically said, I love what you guys do, honestly, but I wish you worked more logically and efficiently, which is a very polite way of saying, why did you never just do the effing thing? And he had a point, like working logically and efficiently is how most people work. It's really easy to wrap your head around that. And creatives, yeah, we tend to not do that. Logical thought, it just makes sense. You start at one end, you work things out, you come to a logical conclusion. Creators on the surface can kind of take a different approach, where it feels like we're just playing about, we're not really doing anything with structure or purpose. The thing is, we are actually working to a structure, it's just not a logical one, and there is a good reason for that. That if we kind of like look at a standard creative request coming into a creative team, we want to see some adverts, we want to see a logo, let's say a logo. If you take a logical approach, you will read the brief, you will do your research, you will get your ducks in a row, you'll get everything lined up, and then you will confidently move in a straight line towards the logical conclusion. Ta-da, perfect, it's infallible, it is exactly what it needs to be. A client will turn around and go, Mr. Creative, this is great, you've nailed the brief. Now do it 3 more times because I want options to choose from. Okay, right, so let's go back to the beginning then and read the brief, and look at do the research and line it all up, and we walk the same line again because it's logic. Logic is infallible. You will go in a straight, efficient line every time. And then you can like really push yourself to kind of do exactly what to go off piece, to come up with something creative, but yeah, you're not really going to kind of deviate all that much. The way that creators kind of approach a request like that is actually more of a funnel. So what we will look to do is, please don't skip ahead, there we go. What we'll look to do is we'll go in stages where we will kind of read the top of the brief. We'll go away, we'll do some work. we'll come up with some ideas. We'll go back, read the brief in more detail, think of a few more ideas, and we'll keep on doing this in stages so that we are still coming to a logical conclusion, but essentially we're playing about in the margins. We're doing A/B testing all the way down. So on the surface, it may look like we're being a bit crazy and we're not kind of necessarily working to order. It's just we've got a slightly different order. Something like this, it means that we can kind of come up with multiple different options, put them in front of people, and have a happy client and a happy, fulfilled creative as well. Now, if anybody is familiar with the double diamond theory, I'm looking around, seeing some blank faces, so I'm feeling pretty good. I didn't build my entire story about this. Go Google double diamond theory after this. It's fascinating. It's basically how to do creative approach to briefs and work. We're basically talking about that bit there. But yeah, that's further reading and far more intelligent than I am. But this is the sort of a way that, this is one of the things that can make creators feel a little bit annoying, is that we're not approaching it on the surface, but we are actually working to an order. So we tend to ignore the one on the left, and we like to go to the one on the right. It gives us the opportunity to play. We feel really, really good about it. So we're always going to kind of default to that. Now, all the way through this, I'm going to be giving you little hints on how you can help your creatives to produce their best thing. And the best way you can help your creative in this situation is get them to show the journey to the client, not just the conclusion. Because you're kind of like not going fully logical. If you just kind of go here, it can be a bit startling because it won't necessarily be what the client is expecting, even if it is perfect for the market and it's nailed down with the audience and everything. Best way of getting a client to buy into a creative approach that may not necessarily be what they're expecting, just show the stages, hold their hand, walk them through it, and you'll be amazed at how many clients will go, oh, I get it now. Yeah, this is great work. I really, really like this. So definitely kind of look to help your creatives, who are usually terrible at talking, as you can tell, and tell the story to the client. This is like an example of what I mean. This was something that we This is something we did at the end of last year, where we got asked to come up with 4 different options for a company that produces equipment to help disabled drivers, basically. And they wanted variety. They were putting it on the table out there. They really wanted to see different options. So that funnel approach that I talked about, that allowed us to come up with 4 very different, unique approaches to the same client, answering the brief in 4 very different ways. That's basically the benefit of allowing your creatives to kind of work in that more funnel theory version rather than a straight line. Second one that I was talking about was what will get your creators to do what you want. That is something that I've been asked many, many times over the years. There we go. And again, it's why isn't this what I was expecting? And again, it's kind of complicated. We tend to, with creative briefs, we tend to have to kind of approach it slightly differently. But this can often be something that we kind of screw up as creatives. So this is a hypothetical example. Here we go. So a client will come to a creative on the right and go, hey, I have got this amazing creative opportunity for you. I would love you to design me a green square. I really, really want a green square. And the creative will be super excited by this, and they'll be like, yeah, no worries, I've got this. We are going to absolutely nail what you are asking for. Client's happy, they love what they're hearing. So, come on, you know you want to change slide. There we go. So, client goes away, happy, they are doing business, they are being a business person. Creative is doing the work, and they will come back, and I think I maybe need to stand a little closer. Yeah, there we go. Client will be like, great, have you got my green square for me? And the creative will be like, green square, I've nailed this brief. You wanted a green square, but what I've actually been able to do is give you a dancing avocado. But I asked for a green square. I was quite clear I wanted a green square. Well, yeah, but the avocado's even better. Like squares for last year, they've got corners. Avocados, they're round, they're still green, but they are so much better. They're so much more creative, and they're so much more different. Yeah, I really wanted a green square. I just wanted a green square. How much budget did you use? Oh, about 4 times the budget that you put down. Right, okay, fine. So the client then walks away feeling pretty angry. You've got a creative that feels a bit of a goofball and has let the client down. In that talk, a lot of the problems that were coming out of it was the brief, that it wasn't clear, it just needed to be this thing, and the creative was reading things into it that weren't actually there. Hence why they went away and they created something that didn't need to be creative. The best way you can help your creators be less annoying in this regard, write the brief with them, not for them. Actually, 2 people working on the brief at the same time will get the brief done in half the time. But that way you can nip in the bud any communication issues, which are prevalent for creators usually, and you will be able to nail down exactly what your expectations are. If the creative has any issues at that point, they will raise them, and then you can slap them down. But you will be able to make sure that people are getting what they want straight away from there. The worst thing in the world is a bad brief. Bad briefs are the source of so much irritation that comes out of creators because we are either not getting a good brief or we are reading into the brief in the wrong way that wasn't expected. So kill bad briefs. Always work with a creative on a brief. Yeah, no, I didn't skip over, sorry. One of the things that you can be talking about when you're writing the brief with your creative is it a creative job or is it actually a production job? Now, this may sound like I'm kind of winding up to kind of throw toys out my pram, creators are better than this and all that. No, creators love production jobs. We actually really do still keep loving doing that. But we need to know whether it is a creative job or a production job. One of the things in that hypothetical was that it was bigged up to the creative as this great creative opportunity when you just wanted a green square. Could have just said, just want you to do a green square. And it would have come over a lot more clearer to the creative. Creatives, as I said, are known for kind of getting super excited about things. So we will get excited very, very easily, but we don't need to be excited about an opportunity to be able to kind of do it. I've got some anonymous quotes from creators all the way through this, and this particular one is not every job we do has to be creative. We're happy to do the mundane and perfunctory, but if you don't specify that the job doesn't have to be creative, we will make it creative. Our instinct is to always be as creative as possible, to always kind of add a little thing. If you just like slap us in the right way and go, no creative here, we will be fine with that. We won't suddenly kind of like all get a little hissy about it. The other thing that you can really work nicely with the brief is tell us the problem, not the solution. Now, again, this might sound like we're kind of gearing up for another artistic hissy fit, but walk with me on this. There's a reason why we're doing it. Good quote that I got from another creative: treat us like a sat-nav, tell us where we're starting and where we're finishing, but we'll set the route. That's basically our purpose, is like we will get the brief and then we will apply our creative knowledge to be able to give you the most creative output that is possible with things. And again, this can kind of come from the brief. So instead of a brief such as, we want a launch campaign for product X that has to appeal to group Y, so use bright colors, snappy dialogue, and include lots of GIFs, actually you can just go with, we want a launch campaign for product X that has to appeal to group Y. Now, we're not getting rid of that last bit because, again, we're not being hissy artists over this. The reason why we wouldn't like that bit is it's introducing subjectivity. And that subjectivity may actually form to be destructive. If it's getting into the client's head early on, before we've actually gone away, worked with our strategists to do the research properly, it may put in their head the conclusion that they're expecting that isn't actually the right conclusion for them. So let us be the sat-nav and we will get you to where we need to go. This is an example of something we did at the beginning of this year that, again, we needed to make sure that we weren't just doing the obvious on. This was for a cybersecurity firm who didn't want to look like a cybersecurity firm, but also didn't want to start looking like anonymous. They wanted to have something that was a little bit different, a little bit more out there. So we were very, very particular with how we worded the brief, how we approached the brief, and how we walked the client through it, so that they then bought in to a nice piece of work with some good, I love some of the copyright Fraser worked on this, but it was a great moment to see how happy that client got. The last bit that I was going to talk to you about is how to integrate creators into your agency. At the moment, a lot of agencies are either looking at building around their core products and leaving it at that, and some are looking to diverse revenue streams. And one of those things is a lot of creators are now finding regular employment within marketing agencies. So if you're looking at doing that, well, what can you do to kind of make sure that everything runs smoothly? What do I need to do to integrate designers in my agency? And we'll turn around and go, well, actually it's quite simple this time. We've been kind of talking about a lot of the points that we would put in already, but essentially like the main integration is all about the brief. Make sure that you are talking to your creative in the right way, work with them on the brief. We don't want bad briefs. But again, like, we want to make sure that we are understanding the project right, and that point is always where most of the issues with how annoying a creative can be can surface out of. Second one is talk to us early in the process, even if it's ages before we get to work on something. Again, like this is where we can be victims of our own thing, because quite often, like, good design will be either classified as something that looks like it took years to do, or something that looked like it took 5 minutes to do. So quite often people think it takes 5 minutes to do. Actually, it takes a lot longer than that. So the best way you can kind of like make sure that we are doing the right things for you guys is just talk to us at the beginning, even if it's like a month or two before we step actively onto the account. Just give us a heads up, give us an idea of where things stand, how things are going with the client, what we're going to be working on if anything changes. Something like that will give us a bit more of a run-up and get us in the mindset ready to be able to kind of apply what we do in a nice, efficient way. Out of this, don't tell us how long the job will take. Please don't tell us how long the job will take. Again, like we can be victims of the perception we've built of ourselves here, but quite often, like, if you think it's going to take 5 minutes to do, it's not going to take 5 minutes to do. Good quote that I got here was, "I've spent 20 years learning how to make it look like it was done in 10 minutes. It still doesn't actually take 10 minutes to do." So just assume that the creative is going to be annoying and say it's going to take several hours to do. Just, prep us early and we'll be able to do that work for you. And then the final integration is one that we've already talked about. Show the client the story, not just the deliverable. Walk the client through the thought process, how you came to that conclusion. If you've done it right and you've shown it in a simple, entertaining way, they'll buy into it. You will be surprised by how quickly they can buy into the weirdest of creative concepts if you show the story. Thank you. Really appreciate you coming. Hopefully, thank you.